Empires do not always fall in great wars. Sometimes they fall slowly and quietly, without a single army entering the capital. They fall because money stops moving, because fear spreads across trade routes, and because trust disappears. This is the story of how that happened to Spain, and how one man helped accelerate the decline. His name was Henry Morgan, and he was not a king, not a noble, and not a general. He was a privateer, a man who understood how to break an empire without ever ruling one. In the 17th century, Spain commanded one of the richest and widest empires in the world. Its territories stretched across the Americas. Its ships crossed the Atlantic again and again, carrying gold and silver to Europe. Spanish cities grew, Spanish merchants prospered, and Spanish rulers believed their empire would last forever. But strength can hide weakness, and confidence can hide cracks. Spain depended on trade routes that were long, fragile, and difficult to protect. Gold had to travel thousands of miles before reaching Spanish hands. If anything interrupted that flow, the entire system weakened. Henry Morgan was born in Wales, far from wealth and far from nobility. He had no inheritance, no land, and no privilege. What he did have was ambition and a willingness to do whatever it took to rise. He learned the sea early. He learned discipline. He learned violence. And he learned that the ocean rewarded men who acted boldly. Morgan did not become a pirate by accident. He became one because the world gave him no easier path upward. England and Spain were rivals, but they were not always at war. England wanted to weaken Spain without declaring open conflict, so England used men like Henry Morgan. As a privateer, Morgan attacked Spanish towns, ships, and ports with unofficial permission. England could deny involvement while still benefiting from the damage he caused. Morgan was not acting alone. He was acting within a strategy. Morgan was not reckless. Every attack was chosen carefully. He targeted ports where silver was stored, warehouses where goods waited for transport, and ships filled with priceless cargo. Each loss seemed small by itself, but together they spread fear across Spanish trade routes. Merchants began worrying about whether their ships would survive the journey. Insurance prices rose, delays became common. The empire that looked powerful on maps was slowly bleeding money every single month. Spain still looked strong, but underneath the surface it was beginning to crack. Cities spent more money on defenses and less on growth. Merchants demanded more protection, which Spain could not always provide. The empire was too large, too stretched, and too dependent on long-distance trade. Morgan understood this better than most commanders. You do not destroy a giant by punching it once. You destroy it by cutting it again and again until it becomes too weak to stand. Morgan's boldest attack was aimed at one of Spain's most important cities in the Americas, Panama City. The city was a key link in the chain that connected the Pacific and the Atlantic. Silver from Peru passed through Panama before reaching Europe. If Panama fell, Spain would lose not just money, but confidence. Morgan gathered hundreds of men and marched through deadly jungle. They suffered hunger, disease, insects, exhaustion, and endless rain. Many thought the mission was impossible. Morgan did not turn back. When they finally reached Panama City, the Spanish defenses were unprepared. A fierce battle followed, and in the end the city burned. Warehouses collapsed, silver disappeared, and every important record was destroyed. Spain lost treasure, yes, but the real damage was psychological. Merchants panicked, officials panicked, investors panicked. A city that was believed to be safe had fallen to a privateer. Trade routes were abandoned, and Spain suddenly faced impossible costs. Protecting such a huge empire required money, and Morgan had helped cut off the supply. Spain demanded justice, but politics intervened. Morgan was arrested briefly, then released, and eventually rewarded. He returned to England, was knighted, and became Sir Henry Morgan, a wealthy and powerful man. This was the clearest sign that England had benefited from his actions. Morgan had been a weapon used to weaken an empire without starting a major war. Spain survived, but it was never the same. Its confidence was damaged, its trade routes were unstable, and its enemies became bold. Henry Morgan did not destroy Spain completely, but he proved a dangerous truth. You do not need to conquer an empire to break it. You only need to drain it slowly until fear does the rest. This was not just piracy. It was strategy. And for Spain, it was the beginning of a long decline.